Noodles and soups, burritos and wraps, kebabs, skewers, and assorted grilled meats. Pizza by the slice, burgers, and a mush. Where has the country I love gone? And what happened to the hipsters? Where's the overpriced cafes with pretentious Spanish names that mean something dumb? What happened to the avocado toast? And where are the grocery stores? Seriously, what's this food made of? And is there a potential business opportunity here? Today, we'll understand the culinary landscape of Night City, as well as potential areas of opportunity, and a semi-comprehensive survey of locations as they relate to food and restaurants. Let's begin. While perusing the multicultural haven that is Night City the other day, I thought to myself, what would it take to open one of these food establishments, and what does the food situation look like for us foodies here in Night City? I got to digging, and I found a lot more than I thought I would. Were you to open a food establishment in Night City, what food establishment would you open? And if you could open a food establishment, where would you put it? These are questions that keep me up at night. Like a good little Sherlock that I am, I decided to put a little thought into it and actually go out into the world of Cyberpunk 2077 and explore this beautiful city while Takamura waits for me. Don't worry, Takamura. I'll get to you one day. Our first location will be right off the massive roundabout in the middle of city center by Corpo Plaza, where we will bump into a very nice version of a food stall, kind of like a food kiosk. Now the situation with these establishments is that none of them have a name like Johnny's Ramen or Steve's Stinky Tofu, and they appear to be just like a chain of fast and casual dine-in, and this one in particular is actually at a very good spot. You'll have a very high-end clientele that will be coming here from the Corpo section of the city center. If you want to go to it, you'll just be like, hey Jimmy, you want to go to fucking Corpo Plaza and get away from the peasants and grab some ramen, and you'll be greeted by this tender little fella. It's actually a rather pleasant little stall here. Not a lot of foot traffic. We see all the beautiful little utensils. Very clean. Very much feng shui. They're definitely getting an A on their food inspection. And you get a little slushy machine here, and even some little coffee cups if you also want coffee. I don't see a coffee machine, but I'm assuming this brand of coffee will actually take some notes on it, because we'll be looking into it a little more later. It's called Brooklyn's Barista. What a beautiful spot, and very pleasant, very pore-free. Excellent place for a quick bite. Going a little further from the actual city center, we are greeted with Nicola. And if you do not know Nicola, as you will find out during our little excursion through Night City's food scene, you will come to realize that Nicola is actually the Coca-Cola of Night City, of Cyberpunk. And it's the preferred drink of choice when it comes to fizzy flavored drinks. A lot of these established brands that have foods or beverages actually have a physical establishment or location. It'd be like if Coca-Cola opened a restaurant or like a drinking bar.
The key to a good relationship is honesty. I don't even care if you've been to prison.
We'll come by this peculiar food establishment. It's a beautiful location, and a prime location. Now, it's actually quite a beautiful establishment here. You get food and you get booze. Now, being a family-friendly channel that we are, we will not be taking a look at the cocktail bar, because we're children of God, and as such, we don't drink. But we will be taking a look at the 3 establishments. They're on the first floor of this little food enterprise, and peculiar food establishments because I think I uncovered a little something between two of these, a little drama. The first food establishment we'll be looking at, it's Kutsurogi Coffee, or coffee, or cafe. I don't know, I can't see that other letter there. I don't know if it's a capital A or an O, but regardless, it has coffee in the name, but there's noodles. Beyond the point, this is one of the two establishments that are in a bit of a drama from what I've gathered. And if you will, please take a look at that logo, because we'll be pointing something out a little down the road here. But as far as I could tell, Kutsurogi Cafe is a ramen establishment that serves coffee, which is interesting. And they're a chain. We'll see these around the city from time to time. But before we touch on that, I want to point out one of my favorite establishments in Night City. Not because of the food they serve, although I love me some buns. It's Roulai, or Roulai. And a roulai is a place of buns, place of stuffed buns and buns that are stuffed. And if you'll pay a little closer attention, unlike our food stall back in Corpo Plaza, although this is still in Corpo Plaza, but a little bit further separated from all the massive buildings, you will see that they have branding. Look at what a little branding can do for you. I mean, look at this place. Slap that crack smoking bun on your little packaging, you know what I'm saying? You got yourself a winner. Instantly recognizable. Unlike Kutsurogi Cafe, not many bun places in Night City, although buns are quite popular. This one just capitalized beautifully, and it's something we might have to pay attention to when developing our unique shop here. Now, a substantial amount of shop owners here in Night City are heavy smokers, and they do smoke on the job, but occupational hazard, you know, it is what it is. Breathing the air in Night City, you might as well be chain smoking. Look at this, we got nice little assorted buns. We got that aforementioned mush on display here. If you don't want buns, don't come to a bun place. We got a cute little thing here, you know what I'm saying? A cute server always does something to me, you know what I mean? I'd like to stuff her buns, you know what I mean? They might get an A minus just because of how dirty the place around here is. Then we go a little down, a few steps, and we come against Suru Suru, or Zuru Zuru, which is a noodle establishment, a ramen place. And they're using the same logo as Kutsurogi Cafe. And if we look closely here, it's pretty much a one-to-one competition with Kutsurogi Cafe. And if we look back at Kutsurogi Cafe, they're closed down. So my assumption would be that there was a little family dispute. Kutsurogi Cafe capitalizes on one corner, Zuru Zuru capitalizes on the other. Some shit was said between siblings. One took the logo, closed down shop of Kutsurogi Cafe. Kutsurogi Cafe is no more. Now there's only two shops here. But this will highlight the popularity of certain foods here in Night City. Noodles being a massive one of them. Buns being a minor addition that we will spot here and there. But they are quite popular. And because we simply cannot seem to escape them, the previously discussed nameless, faceless food stalls of Night City, we will come up against several nameless, faceless food establishments, and these two here are basically copy-paste of the one we saw earlier. All the food's the same, the layout's the same, the little trinkets are the same, although we have a nice little upgraded model, which is the blue one here, where it has little displays on top, some extra little different lamps. This one comes with a little bit of a nicer eating area with themed tables and chairs and umbrellas for the sun. Everyone's serving stinky tofu and soups of sorts. It's not a bad spot, but it's tried and done. It's very safe, not reinventing the wheel. Now, in terms of Corpo Plaza, that's pretty much it when it comes to interesting spots. When it comes to the city center, there's not really anything that stands out as much. Rent is high, and people just want to get their comfort shit. They want to get their noodles, they want to get their sushi, they want to get their packaged mush, and you can't really draw outside of the line as much, which is why I'm a big admirer of Roulai, because they had pushed through that glass ceiling and made a bun establishment that's quite memorable.
This is my trusted friend here, Mr. Wiener. When I pull out my wiener...
But our journey will take us to Haywood, which is technically also city center, but a little bit more on the outskirts, pushing the limits of downtown, if you will. And here's where it starts to get a little more interesting, in my opinion, because we will spot our first Brooklyn Barista establishment. So, interesting thing about Brooklyn Barista, you might think to yourself, this is the Starbucks of Night City. And no, it's not. Imagine if Mac Cafe went independent and then they solely opened Mac Cafe stores nationwide. That's Brooklyn Barista. Why am I saying that that's Brooklyn Barista and they're not Starbucks? Well, because Mattapan Coffee is the Starbucks of Night City. What's Mattapan Coffee, you might ask? Well, for the keen-eyed viewers, you will spot in the background of a lot of these clips, a lot of advertisements for this brand called Mattapan Coffee. Mattapan Coffee is everywhere. You won't even notice it. Mattapan Coffee is the hidden Mickey of Night City. They are the caffeinated boogeyman of Cyberpunk 2077. They lurk in the shadows, from the corner of your eye, under your bed, and in your stuffed buns. Now, as far as I've seen, Mattapan Cafe does not have a physical establishment during my excursion of Night City for this video, but if they do, they would only cement the fact that they are the Starbucks of this world, because no other coffee establishment has pretty much any advertisement, much less the breadth and width of advertisement spend that Mattapan Coffee does. They rival all foods when it comes to advertisement spend, and as we will come to find out later, All Foods is an absolute juggernaut. But for now, just know that Mattapan Coffee is the one and only behemoth of the coffee world here in Night City, and in probably all of the world as presented by Cyberpunk 2077. That being said, this will be the only time I will touch on Mattapan Coffee, because I couldn't find much of them when it comes to physical locations, but just keep an eye out to just the ridiculous amount of advertisement that they have. And unfortunately, I couldn't find any Mattapan Coffee merchandise or even cups. But the holes that Mattapan Coffee leaves in the market are taken by the second biggest player, which is Brooklyn Barista. Now, when it comes to physical establishments, which is what we're here to look at, as well as the foods, Brooklyn Barista got their own thing going. They tend to like bigger establishments, which is why you don't see them in tight little coffee shops in the city center. You see them in the outskirts like this. It really works for them. The branding is excellent. It's simple, it's bespoke, but it works. But as we will find out later, Brooklyn Barista is closer to number 3 spot than they are to the number 1 spot, which is Mattapan Coffee. We'll find this out later because a bunch of other food establishment places have begun to go into the coffee business and have begun cannibalizing the Brooklyn Barista business model, which is provide businesses with coffee and give them some branded cups. Other establishments, which are food establishments, have noticed this model work excellently for Brooklyn Barista and have expanded their food businesses to also include coffee and also send businesses branded cups. So Brooklyn Barista might be in a little bit of trouble. But now I'd like to talk a little more about this little food stall that we noticed next to Brooklyn Barista. And we will bump into our very first mobile food stall. Food stalls that are extremely common in Night City. This is actually a bit of a nicer food stall, a little mobile food cart. We'll look a little later into the more impoverished places in Night City. Although we find a bunch of these in Night City, these aren't necessarily chains, because pretty much anyone can get one of these. You can start your own little elote business, your own little skewered meat business, which is a little overcrowded in the market, as we will come to find out. Either that or Night City just absolutely loves skewered meats. And we have our susty little friend here. He's actually not making skewered meats. He's making what I'm assuming is fries. But then if you look a little closer, he has the skewered meat in his hand. And then if you look a little more closer, you'll see our very first packaged food. If you remember the intro of the video, where are the grocery stores? You'll ask yourself, where's this food coming from? Because there are no grocery stores. What are they serving people and what's it made of? Because there's no animals in Night City, as you've noticed, except for maybe that lizard from the beginning of the game. And I think someone mentions a dog in one of the missions, but I don't think you ever see a dog. So animals are a little more exotic, regardless of what race of animal it is. You don't even see pigeons or rats. So being that Night City loves meats so much, what are the meats made out of? And where are they buying this from? So we take a little bit of a closer look at this packaging here, and we will notice that it says 100% synthetic meat. We have our chicken variety, we have our beef variety, and then also because you would like to forget your troubles here in Night City, we have booze. Going back to the fries, we got some ketchup. which is great. And a bit of mustard there in the corner. Ketchup and mustard for fries, really? And what appears to be a massive rice cooker, or I think I settled on this being like a big drink dispenser or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's freaking me out, man. But yes, I want you to think about the synthetic meat. I want you to think about where all the food from Night City comes from, because it does come from somewhere. And I also want you to think back at our discussion about Metapan Cafe, that there's only one other company that matches its advertisement buying power, and that would be the brand All Foods. Like I said, if you've been a keen-eyed viewer, you would have already seen All Foods advertisement. But don't worry, even if you haven't been keen-eyed, we will be talking about All Foods a little more down the line. Now, going back to the food stalls, it seems that our little friend here has some little friendly competition. Now, they're not cannibalizing each other, as this individual is serving what I've come to realize is just stinky tofu on a bed of noodles. Now, for some reason, the individuals in Night City really love stinky tofu. I don't know if that's a cultural thing. Night City is very much Japanese infused, but Japan doesn't do stinky tofu. That's a Chinese thing, right? Am I being racist? And for some reason here in Night City, people eat stinky tofu with ketchup and mustard. And what is that, mayo? It's one of those things, man. Along with the mush. What happened to my country, man? I guess Night City loves stinky tofu so much that there is a prevalent brand of tofu, of stinky tofu, in Night City. And they're so big that they're actually one of the brands that has expanded onto the coffee business to compete with Brooklyn Barista. Night City just loves stinky tofu so much that there's a multinational company that has also expanded into the coffee business because their brand is so powerful. By the way, my exposure to stinky tofu has just been videos of people absolutely hating stinky tofu and it just being the most vile thing they've ever tasted. So imagine my surprise when I come to find out then in a short 50 something years from now, the USA will be eating stinky tofu on a bed of noodles. Anyways, there's a nice little eating area here. I believe this is probably like a waiting area, or like maybe Brooklyn Barista is so popular that there's a line when it opens and people just sit around here waiting for their number to be called up so they can go in and drink some coffee or whatever. But when Brooklyn Barista is closed, these two food stalls just take advantage of it, and it's actually a very nice symbiotic relationship that they have. Now, walking a little past Brooklyn Cafe, we find an old friend of ours, Kuturogi Coffee. And now, what's up with them and blocking the two middle words of coffee or cafe? How am I to know what this means? I think it's an A, because there's no way you're spelling coffee with just 4 letters. I think that's why they're closing down, actually. It's not even like family disputes. It's just that they suck at branding and people are just taking their logo because their logo is awesome, I guess. I don't know. Regardless, they're open. People are hanging out there, drinking, whatever. This is like the KFC of Night City. It's just on its last dying leg. Like, what are you guys doing? And walking a little further down the line, we come across Cirrus Cola. Now, what is Cirrus Cola, you might ask yourself? Well, Cirrus Cola is the Pepsi of Night City. If Nicola is Coca-Cola, then Cirrus Cola is Pepsi Cola. And it seems that this brand, prepackaged food brand to restaurant transition, or a food establishment transition, is profitable enough that pretty much everyone is doing it, as we'll keep seeing throughout the video. Even booze brands have their own establishments. But I guess there's enough money in it that these brands are just opening shops left, right, and center, which is a big indicator that there's a massive hole in the market for a very specific food establishments, which is great for us because that's exactly what we're trying to find out. Now, I much prefer Cirrus Cola over Nicola. I'm one of those, yes, I know. But if you were to blind test someone, they would prefer Cirrus Cola. That's been established since like 1999. And plus their branding is better. It's not as fucking weird, sterilized. So look at this. It's like a bar slash restaurant. It's like it's the best of both worlds. It's like Barney's Beanery. If you know, you know. This just oozes cool compared to Nicola. They got burgers, they got fries, they got a little drink bar. I'm assuming that's the Cirrus Cola on the tap. They're bustling. Look at this. They got outdoor seating. Everyone loves it. Cirrus Cola is doing it right. Honestly, I don't know why anyone drinks Nicola.
Every Sunday, my dad used to go in the bathroom to have his bowel movement. Sometimes I'd hear a little...
Now, I will admit, I thought this was a faded M, and I've been calling this Magami Market for the longest time, until just now where I realized that's a Y. So, Yagami Market. This is a little down the road. You find this little alley where you can go into, and you can find this food court type situation where you will find 3 food establishments, one of which is Yagami Market, which is not a market. It's a chain of food stalls that you will see around Night City. Now, Yagami Market is a little more upscale when it comes to food establishments or food stalls. Here we see this man is making some sort of noodles. Now, I did have some out-of-body experience here at the shop at a Yagami Market that unfortunately caused a bit of havoc, so I believe I am banned from Yagami Market, but I believe they only serve noodles, so if noodles is your thing, I recommend Yagami Market. Now, we have this other food establishment here that is nameless actually, but they seem to be quite popular, and they seem to be doing something quite unique that I haven't seen anywhere else, and that is they have an old-timey diner server taking everyone's orders, which sets them apart quite nicely. Their food choice is actually the most varied out of all the food establishments in this food court. They got burgers, they got sandwiches, they got fries, very food dinery. They even got to-go stuff like hot dogs, ready-made burgers, and little fry containers so you can walk around eating fries. The last food joint in this food court is a permanent fixture, and although we will spot them a few times throughout the video, their ethos is my favorite amongst pretty much any food establishment in Night City, which is the €4 burger. Now, this is Dohan's €4 burger shop, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. A burger joint where they only serve €4 burgers. Now, that's something I can get behind. They're not trying to do anything fancy. They're not trying to expand and be anything crazy. They're not trying to serve you lobsters. They're not trying to serve you chicken sandwiches. They're sticking to the €4 burger. And to my knowledge, they are the foremost burger establishment, as I will show you later. And they won the burger game by just being exactly what they are, which is a cheap burger establishment. I can only imagine it is like Toys R Us in there for burgers. Now, as I make my way to the last little alley we will spot here in Haywood, I bumped against a pretty big brand here in Night City, Mac and Cheeses, which, by the way, is my favorite. Well, one of my top 3 favorite names of a food establishment in Night City. You will find that the residents in Night City really love their puns for some reason. And Mac and Cheeses, I actually give it a solid 8 out of 10 for branding, 10 out of 10 for name. I mean, as stupid as it is, it's just a great name. Now, the last place we'll visit in Haywood is just a few steps from the Mac and Cheeses, where you will find a little, honestly unsavory alley, but you will find a nice little drink station, mostly coffee and tea, and you will not spot any branded coffee cups. And right in front of the coffee and tea station, we find this peculiar little spot that serves a bevy of different food choices, from noodles to buns to soups. They really do it all in this little place. And walking a little more inside, we'll see one of those characteristic little mobile food carts. Though this time they're not serving fries like our old friend by the Brooklyn Barista. No, they're serving skewered meats and even some hot dogs. And taking a few steps more into the alley, we will spot our first official, I don't know what you call this, like a drink bar display, self-serve drink bar, where you will have your bases covered when it comes to coffee, fizzy drinks, and even energy drinks, what I'm assuming is energy drinks. Now, these are 24-hour self-serve machines, as we see here, fresh and instant corner, 24-hour available. But more on that later. Now, the last little shop here on this dark alley will be this place that serves ready-made food. And if we think back to that diner-style place that we saw right before, we will realize that this is perhaps a distributor that provides ready-made food complete with a little hot box here. So what I'm assuming is that they provide the food, or they rent a little spot in your restaurant or whatever, and then you split the profits. This is also a very cool business idea. If I'm not mistaken, here in the USA, one of the biggest pizza establishments, basically the whole business plan is they go to I believe it's gas stations, and they essentially rent a little spot on the counter, and they have ready-made pizza slices. And then all you do is just grab a pizza slice, pay for it, and they split the sale with the owner. We got something really similar going on here. So that's a really cool business opportunity and idea to perhaps probe and think about as we think about opening a food establishment in Night City. I lied, we're still staying in Haywood. There's another Brooklyn Barista in Haywood. Although it's in all the crowdedness of Haywood, it's actually quite an ample food establishment. But like I said, people are coming for Brooklyn Barista. Going down the street from Brooklyn Barista, we will find Calavera Feliz, which, as far as I've seen, is Night City's foremost beer brand. Now, as you see, they've also gone into the physical brick and mortar store. As we also see, it's not going nearly as well for them as it is for others. This place has probably been closed for so long that it's being used as a trash receptacle. And if we keep going a little further, we will see malted iguana liquors. I'm assuming it's probably like tequila or like agave or some situation like that. But they are more low-key because you can't really tell what this building is or what's going on inside. But it can't be anything too bad, because if we keep walking, we will spot a malted iguana liquors building. So they're doing pretty well. And going a little down the road, we find a nice little joint. And say what you will about the location of this establishment, it's quite quaint. They serve sludge and stinky tofu, as well as 3 brands of coffee, none of which are Brooklyn Barista. We got mac and cheeses, fried stinky tofu. By the way, what a baller move. Your name is just the name of the thing you serve, because there's no competition. So you just take the name of the thing. Baller move. And pickles. We will look into pickles a little more later, but pickles, from what I gathered, all the hot dogs in Night City are pickles branded. I gotta say, this guy's got it made. He's got everything stocked up. Everything is super clean. He's got a variety of foods that he offers, from skewered meats to stinky tofu, sushi, sludge, coffee, Nicola, and even buns. Now, I ain't no sushi expert, but this does look like kimbap more than sushi. But being that Night City is very Japanese inspired, we'll call this sushi, but it does look a lot like kimbap. Okay, now we're leaving Haywood and we're going into Santo Domingo, which is quite the change in scenery. Now, a thing about Santo Domingo, this is a very industrial town. This is very much factories and chemical plants. So you won't be finding much when it comes to foods, but you will be finding cheeky little burger, which is a stupid name, but here it is. And they've essentially cornered the Santo Domingo market of sad diners, because everyone here looks quite dreadful. And for some reason they serve pizza. They really don't know what they're really about. You got the creepiest server you can imagine. You got a bunch of trash in some of the tables. You got this guy just out of his fucking gourd. Shirtless people smoking weed. It truly is a remarkable place. Now, if you notice from the Cirrus Cola food bar / drink bar place establishment, you would have noticed that in the background they had this menu. And for all intents and purposes, I will assume, because this menu is spotted throughout several food establishments in Night City, this is a pre-made menu for restaurants and food establishments to follow if they're not creative enough to come up with their own menu. They will display this in their screen, and everything you see here is probably what they serve. From burgers to grilled sausage, pizzas, spicy chili. You even got vegan and vegetarian options. You got a whole array of drinks, orange juice to teas, mineral water. I'm surprised by some of these offerings, considering this is the city that actively and purposefully eats stinky tofu. Hell, you even got espressos, Americanos, and lattes. It's really great that they came up with this, because otherwise everyone would be just serving sludge. You even got this brand of Lilu beans, which, don't ask me what this is. I try to figure it out and I do not know what the hell this is, but they're cute. And yeah, pretty much Santo Domingo. There's not really much to say about Santo Domingo outside of it's it is what it is. Although I did see this little establishment called Foodscape. I've seen others also called Foodscape. I'm assuming it's a little bit of a kind of like a mart where you can buy like potato chips and soft drinks type of situation. I don't know. None of them have been open. Now, Petrochem is in this part of the city, so wherever you eat, there's a good chance it's the equivalent of chain smoking 10 packs of cigarettes for every bite you take. And as we know, Night City is not known for being very environmentally friendly. Regardless, that never stopped anyone from making a good slice of pizza. That's right, Bucket Slice. Now, Bucket Slice is one of the two juggernauts of the pizza industry in Cyberpunk. And here in Night City, they're essentially I would say Pizza Hut more than Domino's. It's not open, even though it says open. Or maybe it's invitation only. Maybe I have to open the door. Excuse me, but I think the guy pissing on the door is a real deterrent to me approaching said door. And it's actually not in a bad spot, regardless of the airborne chemical pollution going on right next door. I actually kind of like this spot. It's very quaint in its own little weird way. There's basically nothing near it. It's got ample parking space, and it's around the city limits, so you got some great views as far as great views go in Night City. Now, being the Santo Domingo is basically a barren wasteland. There's not many food joints to check out, but we will be checking out the train station because there is one food establishment there. Something very special about this food establishment, an old friend of ours. Now, I don't know his name, but let's call him Steve. And Steve is a man after my own heart because no one in Night City works as hard as Steve. Now, he may not recognize us, but we sure recognize him and his upstanding work ethic and enterprising character. This video is dedicated to Steve. Now, in a bit of a contrast to his food stall, Steve offers a greater variety of foods here, from burgers to stinky tofu, fries, still, various assortments of drinks. Steve is trying to figure it out, and we wish him the best. And we are brought to this beautiful piece of heaven on earth. Cyberpunk's 2077's very own version of Miami within the city limits of Night City. Yes, in a world where you forget the finer things in life, in the whole hustle and bustle of downtown, you can always bring yourself out here to enjoy a slower pace in life. Now, while it is a little bit run down, much like Miami itself, you are a part of a more quaint living experience. Now, while not perfect, this will be my favorite part of Night City. I mean, look at the beauty. Massive streets, not a lot going on, just vibes. The ocean, it's completely antithetical to the heart of Night City, and that's a good thing. But let's not get too carried away here. Of course, we're here for the food situation in Pacifica at this point. We come across our very first sad little stall, if you were in Night City, but out here it's just vibes, my guy. You're just chilling out here selling skewers. If you sell some good, if not, it's okay. You're living, man. And of course, we will see the all-important all foods cooler here. And this is just one of my favorite spots here in Pacifica because it kind of reminds me of what are they called, favelas in Brazil. Might not be the nicest place, but it is a place after my own heart. But due to poor management and probably local governance, you will have some issues with just absolutely terribly run down places. It appears that a homeless person was here serving kebabs, which I'm sure are delightful, but they appear to have gone out for the night or the day. But they have just this beautiful setup here. And what more can you ask in life? You're out by the ocean, you got the grill going on, just vibes, man. Hell, you even got your own little table here. If you want some calavera feliz, you're more than welcome to have some. And a little more removed from this, we see the drink station that we talked about earlier. We'll look a little more in depth into it, but there's not much of note here, to be honest. A thing that I didn't mention before, you do have stinky tofu being offered here, which is the only food option being offered in this drink bar, which is phenomenal for them. They absolutely cornered the side of the market. You got various other different types of coffees. You got a nice little detail here on this coffee maker. Beautiful thing here. Very bespoke. Of course, you got your Spunky Monkey, your Constant Tantanton, your Nick Cola. You got it all here. You even got a slushy machine here in the middle, which is phenomenal. And of course, they all come with entertainment TVs. You even got a vending machine. I'm telling you, they know what they're doing. Now, of course, this area is governed by the Voodoo Boys, but you will see them be a part of the food scene. You got this little food stall here, which I much prefer to the nicer, spiffier one in downtown. If we look a little closer here, you will have a Pickles advertisement, which, like I said, pretty much all hot dogs are Pickles brand. Now, I don't know about you, but this rundown, quote-unquote rundown stand is a little bit nicer looking, has a little more heart to it than the, I suppose, nicer one in downtown, or the ones that you see around downtown. They do got different options, but if you're asking me, I much prefer burger and fry over soup and sludge or whatever they serve in the nicer one. You have yourself a nice beer here, you can have a nice Nicola, you can observe the beautiful art on the table. They of course accept euro dollars, which why wouldn't they? It's just a nice spot, man. Now, this is the last one standing in a row of 3 potential food stands. Unfortunately, the economy has hit this part of town quite hard, so you do gotta support your local businesses. I myself do, so please get out there and do so yourself. As you can see, it's an absolute barren land out here. People forgot to throw their trashes away. Oh, look. Bucket Slice. It's just not looking good for this area. I'm not sure how long this last business will last, but we're here to support them. If you go a little further down, you will see one of the quote-unquote nicer stands, but that part of town is a little bit crime infested. I wouldn't recommend it. Now we come to pretty much my favorite food spot, if I'm being honest, in the whole game, which is Batty's Hotel, which used to be a hotel. I'm pretty sure it's not a hotel, but it's been brought back to life. I'm assuming it was an abandoned hotel that the hipsters have pretty much rejuvenated, revitalized, gentrified. But listen, it was gonna be here abandoned anyway. And you got just absolute prime real estate. You're basically oceanfront. You just got a freeway between you and the ocean. You can feel the breeze. It's just a really nice spot, man. Now, the entrance is not necessarily the most inviting one, but it'll have to do. It's the food that matters. And frankly, there's nothing too remarkable about this place outside of it just being an interesting looking food court of sorts. Very much run down, but like I said, it's the food that matters. And you got some interesting little mix of stuff here going on. The first thing we will spot, of course, is this sort of more modest little stall here with some premium plastic covering on it. Well, you'll find the standard stinky tofu, the staple burgers and fries. Right next of which you'll find a boatload of booze that's not being guarded by anyone, so it's either self-serve or it's just not popular enough. But you do got quite a variety of booze going on here. And then we find this rather interesting place a few steps down here that's very much reminiscent of an Amazon locker type situation, though instead of just packages, you can put pretty much whatever. Most of the stuff in here is food. You do got some packages, but a lot of it is food, so I would assume it is cooled and heated type little compartments. And also, for some reason, oddly enough, behind the counter there's a vending machine. Interesting. But my assumption would be that you could use this to store your food for whatever type situation. Either you're saving your lunch for later, or you're even cooling or warming up stuff for your restaurant. Either way, very interesting. I don't know what the point is, but it's cool, I guess. For some reason, people here aren't that clean. You got a bunch of booze bottles, you got a leftover burger, some ramen. This, by the way, is a ramen chain we will not be visiting during this video because I didn't bump into it. Got the booze brand Abidos. And like I said, it's just the most random food things in here. You got synthetic beef, very similar to the beef we found with our friend, though this one's a little different for some reason. You can come here and drop off your Nicolas. You even got Cirrus Cola, and my favorite variety of Cirrus Cola, which is the Get Cirrus flavor, which is awesome. Hell, you even got milk here. And interesting point I like to make about milk is that milk seems to be the only non-synthetic thing in Night City out of all the food stuff I've seen, because it says 100% premium cow milk, meaning that there's cows out there. So for some reason there are cows in Night City, they just don't eat them, but they drink the milk. Where are the cows? Where is this milk coming from? This is the only brand of cow milk, by the way. So there's a monopoly on cows, but they're not using them for food, they're using them for milk. So this leads me to believe the impossible meat, people. One, you will unfortunately not be able to eat pure beef like God intended. You'll have to settle for that Impossible Whopper nonsense. And of course, because you have to, it's classic, you put the missing person on the back of the box. Like I said, it is like a Amazon locker, so you will find a bunch of packages here with I don't know what inside. Could be more food for all we know, even more milk. And interesting enough, there's different types of cartons of milk, but they're all from the same brand. Now we're brought to one of my favorite packaged foods, which is Yum, which I had assumed these were dumplings, but I'm guessing they're not. They're just round because one of them is shrimp and the other one is meatballs. The meatball, I can understand why it's round. The shrimp, maybe it's like a shrimp ball or something. I don't know. It's just, I like the packaging. I'm assuming it's synthetic. Well, yeah, right there. I'm just hoping and assuming that they perfected synthetic food, so this might even taste better than the real thing. Of course, you can't forget the skewered meat and beer. And you got even more synthetic meat. This one is power beef though, so I'm assuming it's high on protein, which is great for your synthetic muscles. Hold the fort. Oh my god. Foodscape is the second challenger. They've been there all along. They're also makers of synthetic meat. It's not just All Foods. What in the world? Good mama jamma. They were there all along. Well, this comes as a surprise to me. I didn't prepare for this, but yes, I guess Foodscape is kind of a big player when it comes to synthetic meats. They're the number 2 honcho here. So from what I'm seeing, if your synthetic meat is not All Foods, it's Foodscape. So riveting stuff here. Actually, I lied. Save a Buck would be the third one. I completely forgot about Save a Buck. I got completely blindsided by Foodscape. A lot of their packaging says just surprise in it in one way or another, so you don't really know what you're getting, and all of their packaging is just obscuring whatever's inside. Well, this could be synthetic roadkill for all I know. Oh no, look at that. You can see what's inside this one, and now I'm seeing why they're covering it up, because you don't really want to look at what you're eating before it's cooked. What is that thing on the top? And what's that thing on the side? What are they making here? Chili chicken. That does not look like chili, and that does not look like chicken. Save a Buck again, coming in clutch. This one says bacon beans, and they're what looks like freeze-dried squares. So if you're camping anytime soon, there you go. You also got this here, which does not look synthetic, but it could be, but it's not looking like it, but it probably is. We'll also observe, because I know some people would comment about this, Tom's Diner. We will not be visiting Tom's Diner because at the time of recording this, I did not bump into a Tom's Diner, but we will be seeing something about Tom's Diner later in the video. Although Foodscape surprised us, this is how I know All Foods is still the top honcho, because they got whatever the fuck this is. Some like ultra futuristic refrigerated system with a bunch of very massive bags of what would be synthetic meat. Actually, let me interject. I've never confirmed that All Foods does synthetic meat. I'm just assuming, but I don't think I've ever seen an All Foods product that says synthetic meat, so this might as well be the cows that they use for the milk. There it is, All Foods swinging their nuts, making everyone know who's who. And then you come to this other fella. I'm a big fan of his stand here. I didn't really pay too much attention as to what he's serving, but this right here is where you come to Pacifica. Let me look at the views. You get a clear view at the ocean once you got your food going on. You got the pier over on the side, you got the city on the other, the ocean down the middle. This is what Pacifica is all about. And off to the left side here, you got a grilled meat situation going on. They sell your packaged mush if that's what you're into. They got a great variety of them going on. They got a slushy machine. You got the master cook right here just serving it up. He's got a fridge here with your cold stinky tofu. You got your milk. You got your colas. It's just good stuff, man. If you walk further along here past all the food stalls, you'll see this amazing area, just unrivaled when it comes to the food scene in Night City. You can't beat Oceanfront, man. You can have all the fancy stands you want, but this, you can't buy this. I mean, I guess you can, but this is what it's all about. Just some majestic vibes going on.
Is it too soon to say? Would I be wrong to do
And leaving Pacifica, of course, we have to hit up Westwood in Japantown, and boy, are the vibes different, but this is its own little scene here, very much playing into its own style. Very cool. This is, of course, the centerpiece to the float parade mission with Takemura. It's up on the whatever floor of these massive buildings, and you'll pretty much find all the same foods that you can anywhere else. With you got your food stalls here with the burgers, the fries. You even got some smaller little vendors here with skewered meats, hot dogs, even more skewered meats. Hell, you can even buy clothes, sandwiches, and you got your diner style food as well. You have your regular vendors serving stinky tofu. You even have the drink station with slushies, coffee, tea, even more of that convenience store style burger and fry situation. You even got a little bar here. This one, unlike the Pacifica one, is a little more vibrant. Probably sees way more foot traffic than the one in Pacifica. It's just more lively, I will admit that. Like I said, this is a 2-building food scene enterprise, so as such you will have this bridge here connecting the two, and on the other side you will find the first and only high-end sushi stall with just absolutely phenomenal quality sushi. And you'll of course have the staples, the stinky tofu, the sludge, the ramen, and the prices aren't that bad. Skewered meats, this guy's got a whole enterprise going on here. Man, these convenience store rental type hot boxes are really taking over. We'll have a third pizza brand here, Pizza Padre. They're very much the Little Caesars of Night City with the whole hot and ready boxes ready in the front right there. And of course, the one and only, the chosen one when it comes to cheap burgers, Dohan himself. Dohan's $4 burger shop, who's of course come up in life. They're not doing half bad, by the way. An empire is built one stone at a time, or in Dohan's case, one $4 burger at a time. Hey, all foods. And the last thing we'll see here is, of course, the always present self-serve drink station, along with a bevy of different vending machines. And it all comes with some great seating. Slight interjection, I found this place called Satan's Pits, and they got these all foods branded self-serve burger things. I just thought that was interesting. Approach the last leg of our trip here, where we will come by Foodscape. Now armed with the knowledge of Foodscape's actual power, we are to wonder what this abandoned food shack does here when the company behind it makes money hand over fist selling synthetic meat. One is left to assume it's probably just a tax write-off, but it's actually quite beautifully stocked. If there was someone here to serve the actual food that's in there, you might have a great time, but behavior of corporations are beyond mine and your understanding. We're in Watson, by the way, and we arrive at the very last location I'd like to show you. But before we get there, I'd like to point out this diner right in front called Flo's Diner, which I like in a sort of weird way. It's just interesting. There's nothing to write home about it. It's just, I don't know, something about it. But right across, we will come against what I refer to as the Delaware of Night City, because it's essentially a lot full of business headquarters from a bevy of big hitters when it comes to the food scene, from Tom's Diner to Brooklyn Barista. They all got a spot here, and the reason why I say this is the Delaware of Night City is because it's an absolute ghost town. There's no one here. It's just crime-infested hoodlums. Brooklyn Barista has 2 spots, and I would assume there's like a little bit of a tax haven here in Westbrook because everyone is here. Even Mentatsu Ramen, which we didn't get to learn anything about Mentatsu Ramen, maybe another video, but it's beyond the scope of us right now. Pies with a Z, another place we didn't get to learn a lot about. Capitan Caliente, I don't know what this is, but it's there. It's crime infested. Chubby Buffalo's Barbecue, another one we didn't get to see. Man, we really missed out on a lot of these. Bucka Slice, like I said, Tom's Diner, which we didn't get to touch on, but the biggest diner chain in Night City. And they're just all out here, what I'm assuming is enjoying tax loopholes, and it's just a very interesting location for that matter. And if you want to get here yourself, of course, you can get here by locating the corner of Kennedy and Eisenhower. It's right by the Cirrus Cola factory. And man, what else is there to say? But boy, did we learn a lot, and a lot that we learn, and most, if not all of that information is completely worthless and useless, but not for us here and now, because we're gonna use this information to think about opening a business here in Night City and establishing ourselves. We need to think about what food we're selling, We need to think about what location we're going at, and boy is this a long video. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. I found this spot in Santo Domingo, very close to downtown. It's absolutely run down. There's nothing there. There's just a bunch of homeless people around there. It seems that they've had this place closed since 2050, so about 25 years. You know the rent is low because all the other shops here, if they're not abandoned, they're just completely desolate. So you know you're gonna get a very good deal. There's ample space, ample parking. You're gonna be the only business, and it's just got great vibes, man. You don't have the overwhelming feeling of having a massive building over you like you do with the skyscrapers in the middle of Night City. And you even got a self-serve drink station already included, which it appears that this is the only attraction in this location, but it'll do, man. It'll add to the allure of opening a shop here. And when it comes to what food you're gonna pick, well, what other than the American classic? People here love meat. People here love their synthetic meat, but they love their meat nonetheless. I think the reason why there's no light in their eyes is because they don't have a good wing. So bring Wingstop back from the dead, make it a pop-up store, rake in the millions, and Bob's your uncle. Fuck bitches, get hoes.